This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro-Insight for the week of November 7th, 2022. In all my decades of forecasting, I cannot recall a week with as many aspects as what's going on this week. Everyone's going to be talking about the total lunar eclipse on Tuesday, and while that is a huge part of the picture, there is something else, bigger, going on that stretches way back in time. Almost everything this week hangs on one big configuration that has been with us since the beginning of 2021, the ongoing clash between the force of the old ways and order and structure and the agent of unpredictable change, the Saturn-Uranus square. These two guys traveled in a square from pretty much the beginning of 2021, might have been feeling it a little before then. And their last final meeting was at the beginning of October. Since the middle of October, they have been moving apart, and now we have the time to emotionally deal with what this has meant for us. For so many people, the Saturn-Uranus square has brought a reshuffling, restructuring of support systems, Saturn being in Aquarius, seeing things differently, people moving around, the sorting hat being in overdrive, and actually assigning people to different alliances than the ones they initially had. And of course, much, much more. The lunar eclipse in Taurus locks into this and brings a monumental stretch of emotional processing and reckoning, releasing, ending, finally starting to shut down a lot of the stories, hitting a noticeable level of resolution, although not the end of the stories. Lunar eclipses are, by their very nature, incredibly volatile, and this one goes times 10, times 100, because Uranus is with the moon, adding a massive destabilizing streak, plot twists, even more unexpected qualities, even more startling qualities to the revelations, the departures, the endings that come with any lunar eclipse. And adding to the revelation quality of this eclipse is the presence of Mercury in Scorpio with the sun opposite the moon, enhancing the perceptive abilities that everyone now has to see below the surfaces, to understand without benefit of logical thought so much. Telepathy, ESP, seeing beyond the veil, whatever framework you want to put, whatever terminology you want to put, spidey vision, if you want to call it that, X-ray goggles, I don't care. Your gut is really accurate right now. A lot of what plays out under this eclipse will be along the lines of, yep, I knew it, I suspected it, I knew it in my bones. And one thing you may know extraordinarily well is your own self, because the sun does meet with Mercury exactly on the 8th, just as the eclipse is building to totality, which happens before sunrise in the United States. The players in this full moon, the sun and Mercury on one side, the moon and Uranus on the other side, are placing equal demands on Saturn in Aquarius. That Saturn-Uranus square is locking into this event and creating a T-square, and the pressure point for it is order, is the rules, is whatever have been the structures of our lives. For almost 2 years, the Saturn-Uranus square has been stress testing structures in our lives. Do they work? What needs to change? And now a huge emotional component comes into this, and it does involve cost. because the sun and the moon are in the signs of resources, Taurus and Scorpio. Resources, money, values, investments. What's mine? What's yours? Whatever you have been grappling with in your life long term, whatever you have been watching get stressed and stressed and stressed, now is a point of you stepping up, stepping in, doing what you can, claiming dominion, saying, okay, big kid pants, here we go. And if you can't really draw a clear through line back to January of 2021, think at least to the beginning of October, because Saturn is in the same spot that it occupied when the final square came about. Pretty much everything that's important to us gets into the act. Venus and then Mercury and then the Sun square Saturn exactly on the 7th and the 10th and then the 11th. So spanning both sides of the actual day of the eclipse. This may bring a lot of walls. It may bring a lot of no's. It will bring many a demand for structure and stability and stop all the shaking already and do something with whatever the new conditions are. Ground them in some way. Work them into your concept of reality in some way. This comes with an awareness of change. Mercury, our mental processes, is opposite Uranus, so staring down all of this instability, staring down the surprises. The Sun's doing the same thing. Last week, Venus was in that relationship. The result is one long, huge, monumental, noisy, very important sequence of plot twists and changes and surprises and ahas and recognition of the current state of your world and then what you can do about it. And I'm talking on an extremely personal level here. Please shut out the doom and gloom, because all of this occurs with a couple of aspects that are simply grace and inspiration and magic. Venus and Neptune, the two rulers of love, human, mere mortal, and divine, the two rulers of inspiration, are in an unfettered flow on the 10th. And Mercury has the same flow on the 12th. This may bring experiences of inexplicable bliss, a sense of divine protection, incredible artistic inspiration. This is the stuff of seeing God in someone's eyes, in the sunset, in the trees, with animals. Ecstatic experiences with other people, in meditation, out in nature, dancing, music. All of this is a formula for experiencing outright magic in the middle of, let's be honest, chaos. Now, the chaos is going to be with us for a while. Eclipses are processes. This one plays out into next May. There's a companion or bookend eclipse in Scorpio, lunar eclipse in Scorpio in May, around the same part of the sky. Uranus will return to the location that it's currently occupying early next spring, fall in the southern hemisphere. So there's more to be revealed, more to understand, more to perceive. But for right now, look for grace, look for magic, look for it, because it will be around. Adjustments are necessary. Both Venus and Mercury are making an adjustment aspect to Mars on the 11th and the 13th, so that bookends the weekend. You may find it helpful to tweak your information flow, to check your information sources, to monitor and maybe do something about the topics that you actually discuss with other people. How you use your own words may well be an issue. And if you set your mind to be an instrument of peace and love and healing, you could actually have a a much better experience of these raucous, volatile aspects, and B, operate as a force for good in your own part of the universe. And a big transformative experience is on tap at the end of the weekend. Venus sextiles Pluto. These are both rulers of money, normal and huge. They are both rulers of desire, conscious and cellular or obsessive. Their sextile could offer the opportunity to get really focused about what is really most important to you and possibly even accept it. It could also open a doorway to something that you really, truly, madly, deeply want. One of a kind week. If you find it getting to be too much for you, try some of my tips in my first aid kit for freak out. I'll put the link below. And refer to my November forecast and the promise of surprisingly happier times as early as the end of the month. Homing thought of the week: suit up and show up. And take charge of what I can. Song of the week, Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson. And image of the week, Athena springing full grown from the head of Zeus. I'm Kathy Biehl, a professional astrologer with more than 30 years' experience. Visit my site, empowermentunlimited.net, to sign up for my mailing list and book a session with me. I host the show Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio on the first and third Monday of every month. And this week I am talking with asteroid astrologer Alex Miller about the astrology of the midterms. I also host lively conversation on Facebook at Empowerment Unlimited in the group The Astro-Insight Lounge. I have lots of bonus content at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, and I'm really grateful to the people who support my work there. I'm on Instagram at @KABiehl and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian Channel. Talk to you next week.